Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kicking It with the Kenneys. Oh, hold on. Another week, another Wednesday, 4 to 6, every Wednesday. With, oh my God, what's going on? Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Sorry, technical difficulties. Go figure. Okay, again, hi guys. I'm Gina Kenney. Kicking It with the Kennys every Wednesday, 4 to 6 here on No Static Radio. Today we have a special edition of Kicking It with the Kennys. We're actually going to talk about the importance of voting, and we also have with us today some of the people who have been wrongfully incarcerated due to the injustices within our system, which lead back to voting. So today, real quick before we start introducing exonerees, we're still waiting on a couple others. Hopefully they make it. It is raining here in Cleveland, and traffic was horrible downtown in Cleveland. We are where we are stationed at. But I'm sitting in the studio here with Joe. Joe was formerly justice involved and spent many years incarcerated. He'll explain how long he's been out and how long he's been giving back to society. But recently I was connected with him, and I was just very intrigued with what he was doing with keeping people together who were formerly incarcerated. And not only that, but the importance of spreading the word about how important voting is. And myself, I didn't even realize, probably I'm 37 years old, but I didn't realize the importance in voting up until probably about 5-6 years ago. So, everybody has that time to jump aboard. No one's wrong for starting too late. So, Joe, go ahead, introduce yourself, and let's talk about it.
All right. My name's Joe Short. I spent 26 years of life, and I was, unlike the other folks that'll be on the show here, I was not exonerated. I actually spent my time, and one of the things about prison, real quick, is they are not designed to help you or better you, and that's the myth. What it is just warehouse, so we kind of stumbled upon that upon ourselves. There's a lot of older guys, and I had to become one of them. And you kind of you learn and grow through mentorship.
Right.
And mentors is the reason that a lot of us come out of there and move on to do good things. Like you've seen, there's so many business owners out here that are ex-felons.
Yes.
And people that made mistakes, and now they're back out here. And given a second chance. You might not have all the rights, but voting is one.
Right.
That makes me vote. When it was something that people had to fight for, and they said that we couldn't do, that makes me want to hold up. If there's that much power and you didn't want us to do it, I'm going to make sure I get out and vote. Just because of that.
And how long have you been out here giving back?
Since 2017.
And have you voted since then?
Yes, every time. I vote for the small stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff I help. Matter of fact, a really close friend of mine, Shayla Davis, is running for mayor in the city I live in Garfield Heights. So I'm out with my daughter out, going door to door, trying to educate people on really about when people talk about change. And this is somebody that I know that's really that sheds tears and really wants to make a change. And a lot of people, like you see for Cleveland, everybody wants to run.
Right.
But
I'll talk no action.
Yeah.
We don't need that anymore. We've had enough of that. And it definitely starts with, as you said, locally. We have to make sure, everyone feels with presidents that our votes don't matter. It's because of all of this districting and, these politics. But when it comes to local voting, your vote absolutely does matter. It 100% does matter. So we definitely, in this last election, just the mayor race, I was surprised at the numbers and sad.
You see,
it was very sad. And right now, the city of Cleveland, we badly need a straightforward mayor that's going to be all talk, not all talk, but all action, and give it back to us. Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about the event you just basically hosted at the wash on the east side of a man who was also formerly incarcerated.
Yeah. So a lot of times, we in prison, people will hear about other guys that come back to prison.
Right.
Then that becomes the gossip. Like, oh, such and such back, he back. But we never hear about those that are all doing good or out here, married, having families, running businesses, and working, and holding down positions. So what I wanted to do was bring together a lot, as many as I could, and so many showed up. They come in nice cars, clothes, like everything.
They
These brothers
showed up.
came and
They
just
showed
surprised
up.
me, just really word of mouth. Like, come on, let's, and I created a Facebook page, we're at the university alumni. Because for a lot of us, for those that really, truly want to gain a sense of freedom, it's like school.
Right.
Prison can be school. It's on you. Or you can go in there, lift weights, and play cards, and come out the same or worse than you were. Or you can look at it like school and educate yourself each day. And that's what a lot of people do. And you can see it in there.
Right.
Like a lot of those men that I seen that came to the picnic, I can remember every single person. I think I knew all but maybe one person. So I remember these guys that were in college and in programs while they were incarcerated. And it's no shock that they're out here running businesses and doing well.
Absolutely. And then today our show is about wrongful incarcerations, those who have been exonerated for crimes that they absolutely did not commit, they're innocent of. And one of the most amazing, and actually let's talk about entrepreneurs, because the hat that I'm wearing, Comma Club, Ruel, where you at? Where you at? Waiting on anybody. Ruel Comma Club, or he came home from prison in 2018. He was exonerated after serving over a decade in prison. And became an entrepreneur with his own brand. So, we're going to show up. We have a wrongful conviction rally on October 2nd. And I told everyone that owns Common Club gear to please show up wearing their Common Club gear, because we're definitely going to get them out there and let them know that we're coming. And hey, we're coming as a colony. I was telling the guys earlier, like, I'm eager to build that exoneree colony, because, they've endured that same type of pain that someone that was convicted for something they really truly did, right?
It has to be worse.
Exactly. And they didn't do it. But no one's trying to hear that. No one doesn't want to hear that they're innocent. Everyone claims that people cry innocence all the time, but that's not the truth. If you have someone out here who is in prison and they're saying they're innocent after being incarcerated for 20 years, listen to them. Listen to them. Because no one's going to truly fight for their innocence and stay with it for that long and dedicate it until they, like we have on the line here, Kenneth Nixon, which let me get up real quick because I need to put a mic on him. Kenneth Nixon is an exoneree right out of Detroit, Michigan. He's not one of our own, but he is part of that family.
He's one of our own.
He definitely is. But I'm thankful that he was able to, to join us today in studio. We're going to go ahead and give the floor to Ken, just to introduce yourself a little bit, tell us who you are, how long you were wrongfully incarcerated, and then we'll move along from there.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kenneth Nixon. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I was wrongfully convicted of a crime that I didn't commit. I spent 15 years and 9 months incarcerated innocently. I am currently now the executive director of the National Organization of Exonerees, and I'm here to lend my voice to just cause.
We are excited to have you here today. Hopefully our guys show up very soon. I told them 4 to 6. They know Eastern time. But we are very honored to have you. We are very honored to start building with you recently, yourself and Marvin Cotton Jr., Larry Smith as well. Like I said, I've been following you guys since you guys went boots on ground out to Missouri to fight for Kevin Strickland and Lamar, which were 2 cases I was educated by through Ricky Kidd, who was exonerated after 23 years of a double LWOP sentence, which means life without parole after 23 years. He's the one who brought their cases to light to me. And, it's all about reach one, teach one, right? As long as we're out here educating and informing people, imagine the people that we're getting ready to persuade. So wrongful conviction day to me is like a holiday. It is one of my favorite days of the year. This is Epic's annual fourth annual wrongful conviction rally. We've done 3 here in Cleveland just because we get the most support, obviously. We tried one down in Columbus. There were just a few families. This year, I'm proud to announce that we have 4 new families coming on board with us. And honestly, Ruel, where you at? Because I love to use you for this. That's what it starts with. My inspiration came from Ruel Saylor, who was exonerated here in Cuyahoga County. His judge was Nancy McDonald. Coincidentally, who is the same judge who wrongfully convicted my husband, and we are currently fighting his case, and who was also coincidentally the same judge who convicted Isaiah Andrews, who is right now, we just went and rallied for him a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, they had his lawyers had to reschedule his hearing. After 45 years of wrongful incarceration, the prosecutor, O'Malley, yes, is still trying to prosecute him. Yesterday, I listened into, and Kenneth, I'm sorry, I didn't get the name of the individual that was had that court hearing yesterday, but the judge basically put it on hold.
Jawan Deering.
Jawan Deering?
Deering, yes.
Okay, yeah. This young man, and at first it seemed very hopeful because not only what did he have a defense attorney that obviously went ham for him, but the prosecutors were also in favor of his release. And the judge basically told him that he had to have him go through the whole retrial process. We have actual evidence of these individuals being factually innocent, and we're still holding them incarcerated. Ken, how long did it take you when you got that foot in the door with court until you were exonerated?
It took about almost a year after the Conviction Integrity Unit started to investigate my case. It was a very strenuous process. But, here in Michigan, and specifically in Wayne County, we don't always have as much pushback as in other places, which, that's what caused us to go out to Missouri, right? That's what caused us to show up in the courtroom yesterday for Jawan Deering. We've noticed that, all over this country, you have people that are involved in the system that just like to frustrate the process just for no apparent reason. They slow down the process just because they have the power to do so. But I think this is where we step in because we bring visibility and awareness to these people. At the end of the day, these people work for us. At the end of the day, it's our vote that counts. And if this is what's going to continue to happen, we're going to speak out about it. People need to know that this is happening behind closed doors. And that's normally where it goes on at behind closed doors. So society doesn't realize that it's happening. But, when we show up and we add a different element that wasn't normally there, it creates a dichotomy. You can't look me in my face and tell me that that decade and a half was for nothing. When you look at us and we walk in that courtroom and we got on yellow shirts and we've got our number of years on the back of them, you can't deny us. Our stories are legit. If you don't believe us, Google our names. What do you have to stand on? So this is why, we're showing up in courthouses all across the country on behalf of innocent people, because at the end of the day, we understand that, yes, society does need to be educated. And a big part of what we do in our advocacy work is educate society. We were in that courtroom yesterday, on our end, we stand on behalf of justice. It doesn't make a difference if it's the Innocence Project or a prosecutor. Yesterday, we were in that courtroom standing side by side with the prosecutor simply because she was on the right side of justice. We don't care who's doing it. It doesn't make a difference to us. All we want is justice served. There's an innocent person in prison. You're going to hear about it.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you guys have been doing the last couple months that I've been really, really like C first status. Yes, round of applause for them. And like I said, they're from Detroit, and I'm actually very bonded with several of the Ohio Innocence Project clients here, which I like that you mentioned that. Like, it doesn't matter if Innocence Project took their case or not. If you have someone that's coming out, regardless if it was just the prosecutor showing up, regardless if it was just us showing up, regardless if it's whoever showing up, an innocent person is an innocent person. We can never repay them for the time that they endured. We can never repay them for the times that, that they had to go through. We'll never be able to pay the families back that had to continuously love these people while it took decades and most of the time decades to prove someone's innocence. It's very sad. And like I said, we have people that are sitting in prison where the evidence is clear, they're innocent, and they're still keeping them behind because of things, like Ken said, that are going on behind closed doors. I've been solely fighting my husband's case, which he'll be calling in with us shortly after 4:30. As most should know, my husband is currently incarcerated. We are currently fighting his wrongful conviction. He will be home and in studio with us very soon. But it's been war just trying to get his files, just to get the prosecutor files, just to get the police records. Not only myself, but so many were denied here because here in Ohio, we have an RC code that states as long as you're working on the behalf of the defendant, you're not entitled to them. They have to file a motion for them themselves. Are you kidding me? I'm a taxpayer. I'm a citizen.
Public record.
And it's public record.
But it's hard for public to get it.
So you want to know how I got my husband's police records? Just because of the work that I've been doing, and the networking I've been doing. I have a really great relationship with a journalist here in Cleveland who does many articles for Cleveland.com. The same journalist actually had lawsuits against the city of Cleveland for denial of records. So I reached out to her and was like, hey, listen, I just need some pointers. Like, how do I get my husband's records? Like, they've not only been denying me, but they're not denying other people, other organizations. Like, I know there's dirt in there. Like, I know that that's going to bring my husband home. She requested them within 2 weeks, Empathy Day. She emailed them over to me. And then I went from there. And then the next day was when the lawyer that we have retained recently, which I think that's the first time I've publicly dropped that. Usually I speak in code. But she had reached out to me. And honestly, she is the same lawyer that I've been praying for since 2018 when Ruel Saylor, who's supposed to be in studio with us today, was exonerated. I said to my husband right then and there, because they were locked up together. They were homeboys. They broke bread together. They, shoot dice together. They were pretty tight. When he came home, and now mind you, prior to him coming home, I would watch his wife. She was my inspiration. I'd watch her in she was hosting rallies outside the Justice Center. She was the one bringing, all the attention she needed to his case. And then luckily, he had the help with Ohio Innocence Project and the lawyer that we had retained. And they brought him home. Now, when he was exonerated, the judge filed perjury, made him plead the perjury charges because the person that really did it, he had said back then that the friend was with him or whatever, which Ruel can tell his story better than I can. But just specifically, like they made him plead to perjury. So he's still basically, a criminal in the system because he has this charge over his head, but he's not letting it make him or break him. Ruel's solid. His wife is solid. He came home. He did what he was supposed to do. He started his own clothing line, his own branding line. They now have a shop that's located on East 85th. They're doing big things. They had a baby. They've been blessed with so many girls into the family, poor Ruel. But like he's not letting that affect them. All he wanted was his freedom, right? And same thing with my husband. And if it ever came down to it, well, we're not going to pay you. That's fine. Just let my husband out. Just let him out. We got a call, guys. By the way, you can call in. I'll tell the number after. Go ahead, caller. Who do we got on the line today?
They
hung up. The number to call in is 216-939-5087. Caller, call back, please. Caller, call back. So fighting wrongful convictions is extremely hard. And I've always said, and it's crazy because I just shared a Facebook post of mine from last year. You seriously have to prove your innocence. You're already proven guilty once they give you that ticket and charge you. Let's be real. It is extremely hard to maintain and prove your innocence, and it breaks so many people. Recently, one of our Ohio Innocence Project clients, Carlos Ridley, a very elderly man, you may know him, he was in Pickaway. He was wheelchair bound. Went to the parole board, they denied his parole because he was trying to tell them who did the crime. They knew he was innocent, but because he wasn't willing to confess and throw a name on it, they flopped him again.
He was a witness, and they making him pay.
Unfortunately,
was.
Carlos Ridley lost his life during COVID last year. Got a call again. Hello, caller. Welcome to Kickin' It with the Kenneys.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Roland calling from University Heights. And first of all, I want to commend you on what you're doing. This is so important that we get this out here and keep this out here. And, there is hope because we've seen cases all across the country. Most recently, the Ronnie Long case in North Carolina,
44
where he was
years.
wrongfully convicted of sexual assault and spent 44 years behind bars before he was released because of the Innocence Project, which he should have never gone to jail anyway, because there was really no evidence against him. So keep up what you're doing. You're fighting a good fight. And I just want to ask you a question. I know that the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act does not deal so much with wrongful convictions and the Innocence Project, but can you speak on or express how important that is that this gets passed through Congress, and also the importance of issue 24 in Cleveland, which will be on the ballot in November, which will make the consent decree permanent because it's supposed to expire next year. But if this passes, that will make a consent decree permanent. So just wanted to hear what you have to say on that, but keep on doing what you're doing and stay encouraged.
Thank you. I appreciate you calling in. First and foremost, if you're Facebook friends with me and you follow me, you'll see me preach a lot that people need to start getting angry about wrongful convictions like they do when these police are out here killing our people. They need to get angry when, our peoples are killing our peoples. Like, wrongful convictions should get anybody angry. Anybody angry. For someone to have to even spend a couple of years in prison wrongfully incarcerated. I mean, these men are seriously spending decades and decades beyond decades. Right. Stolen time they'll never get back, time their family will never get back. And let's be honest, and Joe and Ken can vouch for me on this. I've never been incarcerated myself, but I deal with it from the outside. On the inside, I've known my husband since we were younger. And not to mention, just aside from my husband, I can't tell you how many incarcerated people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, even formally and currently. Like, it's crazy. Like, there's a whole pack of us and we just need to bond together, honestly, and we going to, but let's talk about that. Like,
It's really like, so I got a friend, Ricky Jackson, he did 39 years, and so while there, a lot of people, we was real close, and you just always wondered, like, he was angry, and then when you think about all of us that was in there for a crime that we did commit, and then there's so many people that are incarcerated for crimes they didn't do, we have to look at the system somewhere and say, hold up, what's going on?
Amen.
We're voting in judges, and then we're bringing jurors and all this stuff. These people are getting paid a lot of money to do a job, and you're failing somewhere. Somewhere you're doing something wrong. This didn't just start happening. When you're just wrongfully going through that whole trial, the whole process, and then you get the wrong person. So at some point we have to say, hold on now.
And it's our fault. Like, it's the taxpayers not speaking up, saying something.
We have to. We have to be mobile, and we have to pay attention, because usually we don't care until it happens at home, until it happens to us.
Right.
If it's not happening to our child, then we like, oh wow, that's bad, it's sad. But like you say, we need to come together, because this is sad. Like,
holding people accountable.
Yeah, we look at these, and a lot of these folks are teenagers. Teenagers being thrown away in prison, and then now once in prison, you have to worry about your life. Where you have to watch and protect yourself and defend yourself. And it's like you shouldn't even be here from the jump.
Right. Even when you come home. Ken, do you want to go ahead and touch base on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. I echo what he's saying. A lot of what's going on in society is just misinformation, right? People don't ask the right questions. We've historically not asked the right questions. We need to be asking these elected officials, where do you stand on wrongful convictions? What's your position on wrongful convictions? These are very important questions. And, as we begin to continue to band together, that's where the power comes from. What they don't want us to have is the power. But the reality is we have the power.
We do.
And
We do.
you know, this is something that we can beat them. We can beat them at the polls. We can beat them at the one place that we can't be defeated, and that's in numbers. We've quickly, very, very quickly learned that. You know, you can deny one of us, you can deny two of us, but when 5 of us show up in a courtroom with yellow shirts, it causes a stir. You know, when 7 of us or 10 of us show up, it causes a stir because people want to know who the hell we are and what we're doing. Why are you here? And what does all these numbers mean? What does the front of that shirt means? Because it's important that we confront this issue head on. You know, justice looks very different for a lot of people, but for an innocent person, it only looks one way.
One way, absolutely. I agree. And how old were you, Ken, when you were incarcerated?
I was 19 years old.
See, young buck, yeah. My husband was
I spent
17.
all of my 20s incarcerated for a crime that I didn't commit. I can tell you exactly what I was doing when I turned 21. You know, that's the monumental day that we remember as Americans that changes everybody's life when you grow up and turn into an adult. I can tell you exactly what I was doing. I was sitting in a prison cell staring at a wall.
Doing nothing different than anybody else would that is factually guilty of their crime. Like, and that's what I think people fail to realize is that the trauma and exactly what you've endured, like, you know, being in prison is not anything sweet. It's a horrible, traumatizing, inhumane, unfair. It's enslaving. You know, people that are in prison are enslaved, and that's exactly how they're being treated. They don't look at even these guys that are going up that have retrials and they're going through court and they've got, you know, lawyers fighting them, and they know Ohio Innocence Project is on their case. Like, they're not treating this individual any different because they feel they're innocent or they're saying they're innocent or they're fighting in innocence. No, every individual that is incarcerated is being treated equally the same. And it's up to them as a person to protect themselves, as Joe said, to take care of themselves, to keep themselves. Hey, Ruel, we have Mr. Ruel. I talked him up. He's here. What's up? But we talked, but you made me lose my train of thought. Wherever you want, Ruel. Ruel has come to sit at the revolutionary table with us. We're going to give him a few minutes. One quick introduce. We have Kenneth Nixon Ruel on stream. He is one of the exonerees from Detroit, Michigan, a part of the National Organization of Exonerees, which we're going to plug in with them big time from Ohio. Okay. And then, you know, make it a national organization of exonerees because, you know, me, I'm trying to build Louise, I'm trying to build a colony of all of us because let's be honest, every day injustices are coming out. Every single day we're having more and more. And we have my husband also joining us in studio here in a second as well. So now that they're in studio real quick, I just want to give them a few minutes. We've been talking about the importance of voting, you know, what we've endured. Joe was factually guilty of his crime. We have, you know, 3 men sitting in front of me, one that is fighting his wrongful conviction here in studio with us. There's no difference in what you guys have endured inside prison, the pain, the bullshit, all that, right? But we wanted to educate the people inside that even though you guys were factually innocent, you guys were treated no different. And even now you're still having to watch your backs, you know, and Ruel, I kind of explained just a tad bit because your story is your story to tell about, you know, how McDonald she convicted you of perjury. She didn't want to give you that exoneree, that wrongful incarceration. She made you plead out to something, which was wrong. Yeah. And you're still fighting that. So go ahead, Ruel, just go ahead and talk real quick. Oh, he hung up. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was wrongfully convicted of an aggravated murder 2003. I served 15 years for it. I was finally exonerated in 2018. Upon my release, during my case, my best friend, he had committed a murder. They couldn't find out the second person, so a vice cop in my neighborhood, he didn't like me, and he had been off of me for a while. He framed me for the murder. So I was the actual shooter, and we went to trial. And man, I ain't matched the description that nobody gave. They said it was 2 light-skinned brothers. I was dark skinned in the courtroom. And these guys sitting there like, yo, 2 light-skinned dudes look like brothers. Me and my best friend, we night and day. And it's like, man, but So when I got on the stand in our trial, that's where the perjury came into play. At like when I got on the stand in our trial in my own defense, because this vice cop had went around and threatened all my witnesses not to come to court on my behalf. So I had to get on the stand myself. And while upon on the stand, they asked me where I was at. So I'm like, I was in the bar, you know what I'm saying, some friends, stuff like that. So they asked where my best friend was at. I'm like, shit, you in the bar with me. You want to know anything different? That's on you to find out. You know what I'm saying? That ain't really my job. Like, I'm here to defend myself. I was in the bar. Like, well, where was he at? He was at the bar with me then. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when it came time for me to get exonerated, they had all the proof. My best friend had admitted to the crime. The person that was actually with him had came forward, admitted to the crime of being with him. The witnesses came forward and recanted, said I went there. They was forced to say I was there. And they still came and was like, well, we know you innocent of murder, but you lied in court. So I'm like, all right, what's that? They're like, that's perjury and obstruction of justice. I'm like, ain't that the same thing? They like, yeah, but we're going to give you 5 years max on each one. You got to take 10 years time served to get out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
can't let you go.
Yeah, but it's like they dangling my freedom in front of me. Like, you want to go home right now, sign to take this deal. My lawyer like the deal ain't no good. It's not legal, but I had to take it to come home. Then I came by me taking the deal. The deal was put in place to set me up later on down the line. I didn't know it. Like the deal was take this perjury charge and we're gonna let you go. I'm like, all right, bet.
You're a felon.
The perjury charge they left attached to the actual crime. So when it came time for compensation right now, I'm going back and forth with them because they like, no, you admitted to something to do with the crime, so you're not entitled to compensation. Furthermore, you also admitted to this crime when I came home that me admitting to that perjury charge gave them room to put me on parole. So I came home an exonerated man on parole. Then me being on parole coming from a level 4 institution, I had to get an ankle monitor coming home fresh. I had to go see a PO my next day out. I had to go see a PO, get an ankle monitor. I was on ankle monitor for like 4 to 6 months. It was like, you never really free though. Like they got it to where you never really free. Like it's just set up somehow where it's like it's always something hovering over you. Like it's crazy. But that's my story in a nutshell. Real quick.
What's crazy with his story is that they want him to say that he committed perjury and do say 10 years of his time served, he did 15 years. But then you got so many guys that's wrongfully convicted, and you got people coming to court testifying against these people. And perjury is never brought up.
Yeah.
These
Against
people never
these
go to
people,
jail and
right.
do time. Like that never happens.
Right.
So
right.
why would that be put in place with his case? But then you got all of these people that's coming to court lying on people, and people doing years on top of years in prison, but that don't happen to them.
They
no
never,
perjury,
ever
jail time, no nothing.
And like I try to tell them, like it took the police to lie first to get me indicted. Mm-hmm. It took these witnesses to lie, you know what I'm saying, to get me convicted. All these people lied during trial. Like, how can I'm the last person? The defense go last in the trial. So all these people lied before me. They the cause of me telling my lie. Like for real, so like why they don't get 10 years? Like
right. And that's what we've been preaching a lot is accountability. You know, even my husband is in studio. He only has 15 minutes to a half hour. So we're gonna bring him in real quick. Let him say a few
personal
words.
shout out, Mouse. What's up, bro? Me and Mouse go a long way back.
Oh, hang on. Say that one more time.
Mouse, what's up, man? You all right? Man, just keep fighting that fight, man. For sure, I hear you. Keep fighting that fight, man. It's gonna work out. Believe me, I know.
Yeah, let's talk about the perjury in your case just a tad bit. Don't put too much out there, but just kind of briefly explain, babe. No, because we ain't trying to ruin nothing. Husband, that's that loud light from Kenney. Yes, in your case, the perjury aspect about witnesses.
And getting flopped. I mean, coming and saying they lied and told another witness what to say. You know.
Yeah, they actually. Let's talk. Okay, juvenile trial. Go Go ahead.
What's that?
Your juvenile trial. What happened? What happened during the course of your juvenile trial before you were bonded over in adult court?
Juveniles, different juveniles, probable cause him to take this. All the witness say that, I heard something about it. I heard he did it. Heard he said he did it.
Was she present at court and as they started it? I mean, tell them like what happened, what played out.
Oh, not at all. They had to go chase her down.
Yeah, they had to recess my husband's juvenile court case to go chase a witness and probably coerced her on her way back to juvenile court.
Well, ain't no problem about it.
No, there definitely ain't no. He said there ain't no. Ruel said there ain't no probably about it.
Definitely ain't no problem about it. I mean, no problem.
Why?
You want to talk a little bit more about the perjury on your case, babe?
Well, I'm sorry, answer.
Hello.
Not really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it's still
But,
open, I don't want to talk. Yeah.
Oh, you're good, babe. You're good. They told me shut up. Gina said shut up. All right, Larice, let's hear about you and what all you had to endure during your wrongfully incarceration.
Well, for me, it was being two of my best friends, and we witnessed the murder. And during our case, they had a 14-year-old girl to come to court to testify on us. And the girl's first statement was she couldn't identify the shooter because she didn't see his face clear enough. And somebody told them that they seen a truck speed away from the scene. Me and my two friends was in the truck. They told them our name, where I lived at, where we all lived at. So after they arrested us, they went back and got the girl. Well, these are the three suspects we got in custody. Which one done it? And she picked my friend Eugene out. But the girl later on, she came back and recanted like 7 years later. And when she came back, she said, it was messing with her conscience. The police made it seem like she saw more than what she saw. And they just kept coming back and questioning her without her parent being involved. And she said when they had us arrested, they came and talked to her. They showed her 3 pictures of just us. And they pushed my friend Eugene picture toward her and let her know which person to pick out. But luckily, she had a conscience. And
Right.
She came back later on, recanted her statement. But that still wasn't enough for us to regain our freedom. So during that time, my friend Eugene had got granted a new trial. They let him out. Me and my friend Derek, he was still fighting. So we put in our motion for a new trial, and the process took like 7-8 months. And by the time our paperwork hit the judge's desk, the 8th Court of Appeals, they shot us down. They reversed the judge's decision, sent my friend Eugene back. And like during that time, like I just knew that our case was over with. The state's only witness recanted. That's what sent us to prison. That was the majority of the case. But when my friend Eugene came back, like he was out for like 9 months, and he came back like, and you could tell like just that taste of freedom, and then the sitting back, it had him messed up.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
had him messed up, and like it probably took him like a good 3 years to bounce back, to come back to himself after he came back. And like throughout that, we still fought for like another 10 years. And throughout that time, like we kept trying to get the police report from East Cleveland. Every time we put in a public records request, they'd give us nothing, or they'd give us a report that got like 8 to 10 pages. So finally, after like 19 and a half years, we finally got the report. It was 70 pages long. And in that report, it was like so many different witnesses that described the whole different suspect. One of the witnesses even said he recognized the person as being one of his classmates' brother. So all they had to do was follow up on that, and they did it. And then also in the report, it was something with the victim, him and his brother. Somebody had tried to kill his brother a week prior. Somebody tried to kill him a couple of days prior. All of this was in this report that we never knew anything about. So once we got that report, we filed a motion for a new trial, got granted a hearing, and like 3 months after that hearing, we came home. So it took us 20 years. The fight took 20 years, but throughout that time, like every time we went back to court, lucky for us, like it was 3 of us, so we had 3 families that continued to fight for us, and we had our community behind us. Like every time we came to court, like our whole community was like in the hallways
on the news.
PC.
I remember seeing on the news, watching them like, oh yeah.
It was
Yeah,
great
they
to have that
bringing me
support.
home, and that's, going back for that wrongful conviction rally, that's why we host every year, because every year, we bring more and more people to the table. We found out about more and more injustices. It's just absolutely insane. I was telling them earlier, this year we have 4 new families. Let's just hope they come in solidarity like our families. If we could get 3 or 4 every single time, just imagine how big we're building. they're going
Right.
to keep coming back. And I like to, with Epic, try to bounce off both, because, you know, we have wrongfully incarcerated people who had spent decades in prisons for crimes they didn't commit, and still nothing's being done about it. There's no accountability. No one's being exposed. Cases aren't being reopened. I mean, let's be real. Nancy McDonald, you got one under your belt. You got one that's in the process, Isaiah Andrews, which, like we've said, 45 years, and they're still trying to.
Well, they know about her.
Right. And now, you know, and that's, like I said, who my judge is, my husband's judge is. Like, there is red flags all over the place. Why are we just continuously letting this try to sweep it underneath the rug? We can't.
No,
We
this
can't.
lady literally, when they went to her with the deal they had proposed for me, it was the prosecutor's office, my attorney. This after my co-defendant confessed. He'd been confessing 2003, confessed to the crime.
Okay.
So the guy that was actually with him, he came in. The whole time I was in prison, they always told me, like, the dude that was with your Cody, if he come forward, that's your automatic
They know it's two
gate
people.
opener. You know what I'm saying? There was two people. So when he came forward, they went to her and was like, you know, we got all this. I had built so much evidence myself. I built my
Right.
whole case myself. And it was like, she still asked the prosecutor were they sure if they wanted to do that or not. And it was like, how did you question somebody about letting an innocent man free? Like,
Because it makes you look bad. It makes them look bad.
and I sat in prison. I was in Lucasville, like one of the worst prisons in Ohio. I sat in there probably like 10 to 11 months after dude came forward. Like, after he came forward and said that I went there, just him and my Cody was there. I went over on the scene. And the witnesses came back. They all said they lied on me. They never saw me a day in their life. They was forced. I still sat in prison like 10, 11 months after that. So it was like, and I'm telling them, like, damn, y'all got me in a spot where they kill inmates.
Killing people.
They
Right.
killing. I know inmates that got killed by guards in here. You got me in here, and you know I ain't supposed to be here. And then the crazy part, the guy that was actually with my co-defendant when it happened, he went home free. He never seen the cell. He never went to jail. Never got arrested. And it's like, man, y'all crazy. Like, it's our system.
It's crazy because it got to come a time when they got to know, like, it don't even make them look bad, to be honest, because what system is perfect? They got to know that that system is not 100% accurate, and everybody that you go through there to get found guilty is guilty. That's impossible. Like, you know, there's gonna be some flaws in there somewhere. So they still think, okay, if I let this person go, it make me look bad, but it don't. Your system is flaws in the system. You got to fix that. You know, so
Absolutely.
it's not just the judge's fault or the prosecutor's fault. Like,
The witnesses.
it's
They don't
flaws
go
in
by
there.
their own rules, man. That's the whole part of all this system is all about, man. Like, all right, it's like y'all set these 10 rules in place. Okay, so I come to y'all like, all right, bro, y'all broke one of y'all rules, fix it. These y'all rules.
Right.
Y'all telling me no. Like, how you telling me no when I'm telling you in your face that you broke these rules that you made? Like,
You ain't supposed to know that.
but see, if you think about it, like, it's already set in place like that because the prosecutors have immunity. So it's like, why would y'all set it up for y'all to have immunity if y'all don't plan on doing nothing that ain't right? Why is that even an issue? Why even talk about y'all having immunity if y'all plan on going by the book and going by y'all rules? Ain't no such thing. Y'all already know y'all gonna do some scandalous shit. So it's like, man, let's go ahead and put a safety net in place. So when we do something scandalous, we gonna get in trouble for it. That's the first order of business need to be taken care of. Like, that rule should be removed. Like, if you commit a crime, you plant evidence, or you do anything like that in the case, you should get that time that man got.
Now think about people that don't know how to read and write or comprehend and do the research that you did. You know, just look at, there's probably thousands of people incarcerated or that died at the death penalty that were
Right.
innocent.
No, definitely.
They didn't
And
have
that's-
family. They didn't have people to go fight for them. Didn't have a community of three. You know what I'm saying? It didn't have that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of times like so to go back, I just want to real quick talk about a mentor of mine. You know, a mentor of mine. So I did 26 years. You know, I went to prison at 19, and January 5th of 1992 came out 2017. But I was angry and hateful. You know, I never had a father. Mother was a crack addict. All that old stuff. But I was in prison, a walking time bomb. I just hated life and was like, what? went to Lucasville, Ross, all around. But during that incarceration, my uncle, who was incarcerated, he's been in prison. His name is Dwayne Farrell. I got a Facebook page called Free Dwayne Farrell Family. Now he's not wrongfully incarcerated, but he's one of 4. Now y'all know how that be when you got them co-defendants.
Right.
17, all teenagers back in 75. Now remember what that's like. In 75, and some kids, they went on a robbery. One of them took a life. So the rest of them all still in prison. Here it is. This is when Dwayne, he's been getting 5 years every 5 years. I'm talking about, this is my uncle, but everybody calls him Uncle Dwayne. He's been in Grafton since like 98. Like he's like super mentor. Like I am literally who I am today because of this man. And I know y'all have seen guys like that in prison. And the thing that they use prisoners. There's prisoners that should have been let out.
Yep.
So we ain't talking, y'all should never been. But then you got people, once they serve their time, okay, shouldn't we release them? But you got people that you just constantly giving time. So Dwayne been getting time since 95. That was the 20-year mark, 1995. When he go back to the board, it'd be 50 years. Now, this is a teenager now that was a co-defendant of somebody that took somebody's life. So when you say, hold up, I committed a crime. I had the right to be bitter and mad. I should have been, but this man was always pushing people to be their best.
Right.
Everybody that was at that picnic that I threw knows Dwayne personally. He coaches us. He referees the basketball games. He's the one when 2 people about to get it on or something, he like, hey, come here. What's wrong? What's going on? So these are the kind of men and women that are in these prisons. Strategically, they continue to give them time, because if you let all of those people go, the prisons will be Belmonts and Lancaster back in the day. It'll just be a bunch of kids fighting and killing each other.
That's a heavy point. I never thought about this.
That's facts.
That's why
That's facts.
Because they be real life model inmates
telling you pull your pants up, man.
And they go to the board and get flopped. And they got a system at the board set up where, like, if you too clean, they say you tricking the system. So they flop you for that.
Yep.
Like, oh, you went 5 years with no tickets. Who can do that? And they flop you guys. Like,
you must be doing something.
Or are you innocent? Because if you're innocent, you're definitely not getting a chance. Period.
You go in there. He can tell you about that.
You go in there, and that's why I'm so passionate about. That's why we're Epic. Ensuring Parole for Incarcerated Citizens is my organization, and my partner Terry. That's why we've been going ham against the parole board for the last few years. Is because we have model incarcerated people. We have hundreds. Just so y'all know, hundreds of parole packets, minutes, and decisions that all say the same exact thing, that no matter what they've done in prison does not outweigh the nature of crime. The nature of crime outweighs everything that they have done rehabilitation-wise. Let's go ahead and talk about that real quick, Therese, and then we're going to bounce back to Ken, because I'd like to hear about your guys' parole system. If you guys, I know every state's different, but I do know that Michigan's been doing a lot of great work with criminal justice reform, as well as Cali. I know I'm always, peeking into Michigan to see what they do so we can piggyback here in Ohio. Because let me tell you, I stay networking all day long with whoever. Right now, I just got a connection with Bone and Nova the Rebel. I'm going to get them in studio one day, too. But stay tuned for that. Let's talk about the parole board.
Yeah, so my situation with the parole board was my first time up, I took them 11 years. So when I went in, they asked me all these different questions. And by that time, my co-defendant had got out, the witness recanted. I told him that all of this, everything that transpired with the case, and he told me, well, I got to go off of what my own paperwork said. So everything he asked me and my answers didn't mean anything. So, and due to the nature of the crime, they gave me 5 years. So I did the 5 years. I go back up. They wanted me to take responsibility, and I wouldn't admit I done it because I didn't do it. So I told the lady on the panel, I said, well, ma'am, I did 16 years. I wouldn't still be coming in here after 16 years. If I done it, I would just tell you I did it. And she told me, well, I got people that come here after 30 years telling me they didn't do it and they did it. So I just
Right.
stopped talking. It wasn't no more that I can say. It was they had a decision made up. So they told me to step out the room. I stepped out the room for every bit about 2 minutes. I came back in and gave me 4 more years. Luckily, I didn't have to see him because I was supposed to go up in September of 2015, but we got out of prison March 26th of 2015. So that's
Nice, nice. So
If
you
I
find
would have
grace
go
of
back in
God.
there,
It would
it
have
would
been
have
It
the
would've been
same.
another
It would
5
have been the
years.
same.
And
yeah.
nowadays they're doing flops of 10.
Yeah, they
And I don't
giving
mean to
everybody
scream, but I
10
just want to
now.
make sure
Yeah.
everybody
but
hears.
say if I'd have just said, okay, I'm just gonna tell them whatever they want to hear. Okay, I'm take responsibility. I shouldn't have done it. It's still no guarantee
It
that they would
wouldn't-
have let me go.
And not only that, now you can put yourself on record, and they ain't gonna never let. They would
Right,
have
so
never.
You
let
came here
out,
2
period.
times before telling me you didn't do it. Now you saying you did. Okay, yeah, take this, whatever they wanted to give me.
I saw him 5 times.
Yeah, I ain't. It's crazy. I had 28.
5 times.
I had
Oh my
28 to
God.
life, and man, my whole time in prison, like I would never entertain the conversation of going to the board. Like anytime I be sitting around and guys be like, man, when you go to the board, and I'm like, I ain't never going to the board. I'm like, I'm getting out before I could get in 28 years, and it was like they thought I was crazy, but it was like, I had to trick myself mentally. Like that's one of my things I used to get through this whole situation. Like I had to trick myself mentally, like, bro, like you going home any given day. I used to get up in the morning, like some days I get up in the morning, like, man, fuck it, today gonna be the day. Like they gonna call me out of nowhere, be like, Sailor, pack up, like, and I get through my day, and then at night be like, oh, today wasn't my day. Tomorrow, then, like, you know what I'm saying? But it was like I never told myself like, I ain't getting out of here. It's over with. They got me.
You got to
Like,
do whatever it took.
See, that's how
to
I
keep your
was.
mental.
yeah.
Yeah, inside you have to. I can only imagine. Like I said, I've never been there, done that. I do deal with it with my husband, and we have good days, we have bad days, we have great days, but we keep it pushing, which that's what you have to do.
I used to have to be strong, like for my family. Like my thing with the parole board, like my family used to be like, oh no, you can't think negative. Like you've been good and they're gonna let you out. But I done witnessed so many people before me go up, so I kind of knew what to expect, you know. So they thinking I'm thinking negative, but I'm seeing it firsthand of what's happening to other people. So when I went the first time, I called my family, told them they gave me 5 years. They went crazy. They crying like, and it broke me down. Like, so I'm like, the next time I went up, I didn't even tell them about the time that I got. I wrote home through JPay and through letter because I couldn't stand to be on the phone and hear them break down. Like I couldn't take that, so I had to go a different route the second time, you know. But you have to get yourself mentally ready so you don't go crazy, but also
you gotta be strong for the
for
outside
the family
world.
too, though. So you got to wear a hell of a mask
because you're actually being sentenced again.
Right,
You know, it's like they
re-sentence.
bring up. So the parole board brings up your old. They bring up your juvenile. Oh, back then this happened and this happened, and you be like, and they make you relive the case. So when you're somebody that's like in there for something you didn't even do, it's like you don't even want to talk about it. Like, and then they're not sitting there; they're on a laptop. You looking at them through via satellite,
right?
And you can see. So I'm sitting here, and you see them. It might be 5 officers, all individuals, and they moving, getting up, going to get coffee, and
drinking,
you
answering
you
their
sitting
phones.
here trying to focus.
Your life on the line.
Your life on the. They're not even here, and then they'll all come and be like, "Okay, we got a decision. Step outside." You know, so you just like nervous, and then you go back and you sit down. They're like, "Well, you know, Mr. Sharp, we keep up the good work. You're really doing good. We see you're in college, man. You've done this and that. And you've done CPR on a person and saved somebody's life, but due to the nature of the crime, we're gonna let you stay for another 5 years, you know, or 3 years. They gave me three. You know, just kept giving me 3.
Ken, it must sound familiar.
Very, very, very familiar. You know, this sounds just like it happens in Michigan. You know, I've seen it up close. You know, I've seen a lot of guys deal with the same process, and it's definitely gets in your head a whole lot. But I want you to think about this for a second, right? For those of us that were innocent, we had to face the parole board. We've already been made a victim by the system once, and now you're asking me again to re-victimize myself all over again and try to explain something that I know nothing about. And your answer determines what your future looks like. And we're sitting in that room trying to figure out what the next move is going to be, when in reality, you have no card to play whatsoever because you don't know how it played out to begin with. That's a horrible situation to be in when the people that are supposed to protect you are constantly victimizing you. The people that are put in place, the people that we voted into place, that to protect us, their job, their sole responsibility is to protect us from ills just like this, are placing us in a situation where we have to completely explain something that I know nothing about. That's a horrible situation to be in. Horrible. And I 100% respect Rule with, I wasn't going. How can I put myself? You're asking me to put myself in a compromising position that I have no win in whatsoever. No matter what I say, there's no win coming out of it. That's just it's a very unfortunate situation. But for those that are on the other side of it, those that are actually guilty and have to go up there, we see the same thing in Michigan. You got guys that spend 20, 30 years doing the right thing. They're mentoring, they're holding up the youth. They're making sure that these guys are doing what they're supposed to do. And they go up there and they come back with the sad face. That's unmistakable feeling. That you can't get past seeing that when you're watching the person. I mean, it's if you reverse that role, it's like watching the nosy neighbor get in trouble. That person that everybody knows is on the straight and narrow for the entirety of their life, have done nothing wrong, is now in trouble. It's an unimaginable heartbreak to see people that and feel and deserve, and you feel like they deserve what they got coming, only to turn around and watch them get hammered for no apparent reason. The parole board, the reality that a lot of people in society don't see is the parole board judges you off a file. You're a stack of papers to the parole board. They know nothing about you beyond what that stack of paper says. Nothing. They'd never talked to you prior to them few minutes that you go in that room. You're a stack of papers. You're being judged off of what somebody else said or didn't say in that file. And that's an unfortunate situation because you can't defend yourself.
Yeah, it ain't like they come around and talk to the guards in the jail and
people that
talk to your family that you talk to on the phone every day and be like, can you tell that he changed, that he rehabilitated? They don't do none of that. Like, I ain't never seen the parole board myself, but I had a excruciating experience. Like, when I was in Loop, like I was saying, when dude had came forward, they were my co-defendant. So I had got the call, like he came forward and he went down there, saw the prosecutors on his own and gave him a full statement and all that. So, I'm super ecstatic. Like, they about to come, they be out any given. I gave my whole cell away. Like, it's not real. I knew like I was about to go home. I gave my whole cell away, shoes, TV, everything's gone. And so my lawyer called, was like, we coming down there to see you. Now I'm in Loop. I'm 5 hours away from Cleveland. She said, we coming down there to see you. It's gonna be me, the prosecutor, and the prosecutor's investigator. I never heard a prosecutor come see somebody in jail.
Right.
So I'm just knowing my mind, they coming to pick me up. She don't want to. It's like my mind tricking myself. Like, no, they coming to pick me up. She don't want to tell me. They surprising me. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling everybody they about to come get me. I gave all my stuff away. So they give me this room, man. It's the prosecutor, it's my lawyer, and it's the prosecutor's office investigator. And they said, William Seisman, where he came forward, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, what's up? Y'all coming to get me? And that man looked me in my face and was like, no, we ain't done investigating the case yet. So I'm like, where William Seisman at? Yeah, we don't see him as a suspect. I say, man, hold up. I went ballistic and I say, you trying to tell me that a person came forward and told you he was there and was part of a murder and he went home and you about to leave me here in Lucasville where they kill people at, like, and now I ain't did nothing. Ain't nothing left in my case but the dead man to come back and tell you that I ain't do it. Like, everybody came forward and told you I ain't do it. I wasn't nowhere. I wasn't even on the scene. And you leaving me and they left me in Lucasville, man. It was like, out of my whole 15 years, I think that probably was the most like damaging part of that whole situation. It was like, now y'all just like add insult to injury because y'all know for a fact, like, I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no way possible you can investigate anything else when everybody involved said I wasn't there. And they left me in Loop, man, for like 10 more months, man.
Talking about PTSD.
Then it was like, and then I got to deal with my family. You know what I'm saying? I'm dealing with them. And it's like, one thing about prison, you got to be strong, but you don't want to be too strong because too strong will run your support off. Because they get comfortable with the fact that you being all right and you strong in there. Like, he eating good, he's safe, he's strong, he ain't letting nobody bother him, and he ain't letting this get to him. And then they become relaxed. Like, I went through it where my family became relaxed for a minute. It was like, appeal got denied, appeal got denied, appeal got denied. It was like, you all right? You need some money for your books? You need, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, like I need you to go down to the prosecutor's office. I need you to go down and rally downtown for me. You know what I'm saying? I need that. And it's like, man, yeah, I could just see the fight, you know what I'm saying, getting pushed up out of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm in here to fight, ain't out of me, but it's like I gotta stay strong for them. And then it's like, damn, I'm being too strong because now they thinking I'm cool. Like, no, I'm cool, but I ain't comfortable. It's a difference.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be all right in here, but I ain't comfortable, man. I'm trying to go home. Like, you know what I'm saying? And by the grace of God, my wife came into my, you know what I'm saying, situation, and she had a fresh fire up under her. You know what I'm saying? They seen the fire up under her. My family like, oh yeah, let's go then. Like, and that played a big role in me getting out because they harassed out of the prosecutor's office. They was on there holding them hostage. They wouldn't leave their offices. They had rallies. And I try to tell these people that they be in my DM, they messaging me like, my family member, he in jail, he innocent. I'm like, why I ain't never heard of him? Like, why don't she got this man case everywhere? Don't come to my DM like you need help and you ain't helped yourself yet. You got like, you know what I'm saying? I sat down in that place. I wrote hundreds of letters and I sent my wife hundreds of emails, like email all these people, like make a general email and send it to everybody. I was like, I mean, do me a favor. When you get up in the morning before you go to work, send these emails out to the same people every day. I became so repetitive to where it's like, you gotta put the work in. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting around there with guys that got life in prison. They telling me they innocent, they playing poker and they hooping all day. And I'm like, bro, that ain't how it's supposed to go. You gambling, playing basketball all day. You tell me you ain't did this crime. You got life. Like, I'm gonna show you how to do it then. Like, and I did some things I wasn't supposed to be doing, was in there, but it was all for the, you know what I'm saying, the greater good of it. Like, I had to come home, man.
But and again, that doesn't mean necessarily that they not innocent. You know, some of them just people don't know how to fight that kind of fight, you know, and they don't have those resources. Some people in there, you know, there's people in there ain't got nobody to call. They don't never use the phone. They don't get no JPays. So some people, and then they don't know how to say, hey, bro, I don't know how to read. You know, like, I want to go to the law library, but I don't know. And then you got them shiesty dudes like $100 for me to file this.
Yeah.
I need $1,000. You know, so it's like they take advantage. It's leeches in the prison too.
Oh yeah.
That'll take advantage. Like, oh, you innocent? Look, this is what we can do. Have your people meet up with my people, get them. You know, and this is I've seen people give up. You know, people give up. People give up, like, and they innocent. They just be like the same people that went there and the police and hit them upside the head. Like, say you did it, and you be like, all right, you know, I did it. Like, just to stop from getting beat. You know, now some of us beat me. You know, bring it. Like, you know, beat me. But a lot of people not built that way. So we can't be like, hey, they probably did it. You know, if he hooping to get his mind off of it sometimes. Like, they don't know how to use, like, hell no. But some people, man, you can look and just be like, everybody not a fighter. You can look at him and be like, man, he gonna sit in here and just rot away and let the system. But so I'm glad you answering people back on their DMs because
I try to get to a lot of
because people are looking like all of y'all right now, man. I'm proud to see y'all like sitting here and talking and because a lot of times, and this go to you too. Y'all remember Cure magazine?
Yeah.
It was a Cure Ohio. So
my husband just talked about that today.
So the presidents or whatever, it passes on every time because somebody's always passionate for this. When their family member, their husband is incarcerated.
Right.
Exactly.
But when they get out, are we still going to hear about you? Are we still... This
Epic ain't going nowhere, y'all. I promise you.
Now, okay, so I'm just telling you. I'm telling you, and I love that.
And actually, I will say, now that we have gotten relief for my husband's case, I've actually stepped back dramatically from his case and exposing his case because he's in great hands right now. And I've been working as a whole on, you know, wrongful incarceration and parole because it's, you know, we have excessive sentences. It's absolutely ridiculous why our prisons are 130% over capacity and us as taxpayers are fitting the bill. $90 a day is what we're paying per incarcerated person. In Ohio, we have 48,000 incarcerated. I mean, when are we going to start doing something to depopulate so that we can take care of COVID inside the prisons? And give back to our children. And that's where I like to talk, that's where my passion is with the whole prison thing, because our kids are failing. Our kids are being taken away from boys and girls clubs. We're not having any type of church groups, church camps no more. There's nothing for our children to do but to resort to the streets. And a lot of our exonerees were in fact children. My husband was 17, Larice 16, 17? 17. And that's the problem is, that's when it started to really start, back about 20 years ago is when they started taking everything from our children. If we can take just a portion of the money that we taxpayers are putting inside these prisons to tend to these prisoners, these enslaved people, and putting it into the school, we'd have some magnificent doctors, lawyers, all of that. And I always preach, because I have 3 children, 19, 14, and 11, and they're very in tune with what I do. And they talk to their friends about it. My son shares on his Facebook. He's 19 years old, even the rally, like, hey, I'm all about bringing the young people in because they are the future.
They're the future for sure. Like when I go speak at colleges and like high schools, I always like ask them what they doing, what they majoring in, and I'd be like, a lot of these kids that's growing up, they want to be lawyers. They ask them about far as legal, like, I want to be a lawyer. I'd be like, no, man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about being a prosecutor or a judge. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause that's the side of the field that we low on players. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we low on players, prosecutors, and like we have more prosecutors that's from our culture and our background. I would have never did 15 years because somebody from my culture and my background would have been like, dude ain't light skinned. Just that simple. Like every witness in my case, there was 2 dudes there, and they both was light skinned individuals, and this crime happened 12:30 at night. I ain't never light skinned at all. Like, but if you ain't from our culture, or it's 2 African American males, you don't know light skin, dark skin. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it got to be a change at some point where we need people that's more up to speed, what's going on, the modern day times, like on that side of the field, because some people right now that's representing the state is all biased. They see everything one way only. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you ain't did it, you did something.
Right.
And it's like, you can't do that.
Right.
I think that's where we come into play as a group, though, as a group, as an organization, as our own sector of society, right? Unfortunately, we're a class of citizenship that nobody wants to be a part of. I mean, that's just a fact, right? The initiation process to become an exoneree is probably the worst thing in the damn world that nobody wants to have to go through. But the reality is we're a small sector with more power than we realize because we bring visibility to this issue. We can confront that issue and ask those questions because we've lived it, right? Normal people don't know what court proceedings look like or what's going to happen next. We can sit there and we can explain that. Going back to something that Joe said a little while ago, our growth and our power in this movement is banding together. There's power in numbers. We can't be denied when there's 50 of us showing up somewhere. When there's a bunch of us showing up, our stories are legit. Nobody can attack us. We have everything in the world to stand on. What can they take from us? They took it all from us before.
Right.
We have nothing to lose. Everything that we have to stand on is on the table already. You don't believe us? Google our names. There's nothing.
I stand on my story.
Exactly. We stand on truth.
As we mentioned earlier, has his own branding line, Comma Club, which we all are representing. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what Comma Club means.
Well, Comma Club, it started more so as an acronym for creating opportunities, making more achievements. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think Comma Club means money, but the money creates opportunities and make more achievements. So you don't got to look at it like, you know what I'm saying, like actual comma. Like I got money, I got commas in my bank account. People say it all the time. So like, yeah, I got commas in my bank account. Let me buy a shirt. I'll be like, you don't even know what's going on.
Right.
Like,
hold on, let me school you real quick.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Because the actual comma means continuation. So that's how I thought about my life as a story. Like our life is our story. So every day God get us up, he put a comma on our story. So it continues. Like, and I feel like me being in prison was a short pause in my story. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when I got released, my story continues. So the mantra, my story ain't over, don't mean like when you buy a Comma Club shirt and it say my story ain't over. You ain't talking about L's story. Right. A lot of people think I'm talking about my story on the shirt. No, I'm talking about your story. Like wherever you at in your life right now, like your story ain't over. So some people feel like it's over with. they ain't gotta be prison. People are they are mentally in prison out here. So it's like, man, if you feel like you ain't where you want to be at in life, and your story ain't over. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be a good thing. You could be working at McDonald's on the French fries. You want to be the manager one day. Like, that ain't the end. Being on the fries and the end of your story. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can't never. It's all about not giving up, man. Like, I done seen so many people give up to where it's like, man, I refuse. Like, I can't give up. Like, on whatever I'm doing. So when I came home, it was like, I ain't want to sell drugs no more. I can't be in the streets like I used to be in the streets. Like, I ain't going back to prison. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had formed a movement inside of prison with Comic Club. Like, it was a lot of guys that witnessed my journey, seen my fight hands on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your hood, like Mouse, me and him did years together. He seen me fighting the whole time. He telling me he innocent. I'm telling him I'm innocent. We fighting. You know what I'm saying? It's like me and him. I watched them. You know what I'm saying? Go home on the news, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know I'm next. Like, it wasn't like, it wasn't no, they got out before me. It was like, oh yeah, my boys got out, I'm next. Like,
and that's kind of what drove me to this entire movement with, is Ruel. Like, when Ruel came home, that, watching Amy before you even came home, them rallying, like you said, because that's what it takes. And that's what people don't understand. Like, we have people that reach out to Epic all the time wanting to organize for them. Oh, well, my loved one's wrongfully incarcerated. Well, and like Ruel said, like, what are you doing? Here, let me coach you into what, and that's how I brought these new 4 families on board. One of them wearing a Comic Club shirt, the one that I wore for Wrongful Conviction Day last year that has my husband's last name and information, wrongfully convicted as a juvenile. It brought attention to the cause. Woman sitting next to me, she's talking about vending machines and phone calls. We all know where that's coming from, right?
Right.
So, it engaged a conversation. We're in a small establishment. We exchange numbers. She calls me. We talked for hours. Her family will be there. But she's like, I just didn't know where to start. And that's the problem. They don't know where to start. You have to stay persistent. You have to keep applying pressure. If they tell you no, keep going. Find another motive. I was denied constantly on my husband's files, police and prosecutor. I dreamt since I was a kid that I would find DNA in his prosecutor or in the files, period. And I found them. I started to expose certain pieces of stuff that was in his files, and that's what brought the exposure to my husband's case. And luckily for us, by the grace of God, the woman that I prayed for since 2018, Ruel's lifesaver, reached out to me and told me she has time finally for my husband's case. I've waited patiently for her. I never gave up. I called.
Who, Kim?
Yes. I called hundreds of lawyers, 10 grand to start. They wanted this just to start, this just to start. I didn't feel comfortable. My family didn't feel comfortable. His family didn't feel comfortable just handing 10 grand over to just someone that we didn't know if they would win the case or not. I remained patient. She finally reached out to me. Recently just met my husband, and now that he's finally met her, he's like, yeah, babe, you're right. She was the truth.
She's the truth.
Kim is the truth.
I was, man, Kim the truth, man. Like, I can't even remember how I got her number, but I was in jail, and I called her. I had a cell phone. I called her. She's like, you called me from a cell phone? I was like, man, listen, that ain't the issue right now. The issue is I'm in here, and I'm in here. I have a murder case. I said, somebody said they did it. You know what I'm saying? All that. My co-defendant took out, Ben took out 2003. You know what I'm saying? Just for the record, you know what I'm saying? Cordell took out on this case in 2003. Like, as soon as they said guilty, he told them, like, no, bro, ain't do it. He wasn't even there. He ain't had nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, so she was like, fresh out of law school, like, oh, that's an easy case. I'm like, I don't know. It ain't that easy. I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? But, man, she fought like, man, like.
She's a pit bull in a skirt.
Yeah, I paid her all her money up front. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it wasn't about the money with her. It was like, she didn't like the system. Like, she ain't like what the system was doing to me.
And that's one thing when I finally got to meet her personally, that was one thing my aunt and I got from her, was the fact that it wasn't about money for her. It was about the injustice. Yep. Like, she was truly, in her heart, she really wishes she would never have to charge anybody. But let's be real. It doesn't put food, right. It doesn't put food on the table for her babies. It doesn't keep the roof over their head. She has to, right? But I'll tell you what, she's a very amazing person. She's truly all about justice for anyone or of any kind. And she's definitely firing.
No, and she, like, me and her formed a friend. Me, her, and my wife formed a friendship that forever. She my daughter's godmother. Like, right. married me and my wife
Mhm.
downtown Justice Center Step. Like she been involved with my kids' life, anything we have as a family function, you know what I'm saying? Like my lawyer there, like Kim, I don't Kim, you know what I'm saying? She's not my lawyer no more. She's family now. You know what I'm saying? Because she put that work in and she believed she saw it. But back to what you were saying about the police file, like that was the break in my case, my police file. Like the Ohio Innocence Project couldn't get it. Kim couldn't get it. Man, the lawyer before that couldn't get my police file. And my wife was calling down there about something totally different. This is how God really worked out. Like my wife was calling down there about something totally different, man. And they emailed her my police file.
Oops.
But you know what part is about that is like so many people was in that same situation of trying to get a file. It just would be a matter of who get that request. When you put in that public request, it's a matter of who on the other end that sees it like, oh, let me see
right here. Yeah,
Which I do want to speak on that because with the prosecutor files, Assistant Prosecutor Brian Gakowski, which after Googling him to find out who this guy is that keeps denying my husband's records, I personally knew him. He used to come into the establishment I worked at. He was a patron of mine. I seen him weekly before COVID. Once COVID happened and I found out who he was, I haven't seen him yet, but I ran into friends. He was the one that was denying the files for everyone. Come to find out, when I ran into one of his friends, he no longer is an assistant prosecutor, and told his friends it's because of all of the corruption that has been coming across. He wants no part of it. And in my mind, it was like, okay, was it my husband? Because we aggressively had all kinds of people requesting those documents, but it's coming out more and more now, and people are really starting to list them. That's why it's up to us not to give up and to continue. Bonding together as a whole, whether it be locally with Marvin and Kenneth and Ricky Kid out in Missouri. I love their idea of the whole National Organization of Exonerees. They will be joining us on October 2nd. Just for the listeners know, October 2nd is International Wrongful Conviction Day. We will be rallying outside of the Cuyahoga County Justice Center here in Cleveland. Rally starts at 2:30. At the end of it, we're going to march, which is a quick, probably 2,000 steps across the street to the free stamp. Try to get a picture of everybody in solidarity.
Free stamp.
Yes,
my spot.
That is your spot.
My spot.
That's real spot. But so we have so many phenomenal speakers already added to the lineup. They're already committed. They've been forever now. We're excited. We're a week and a half away. Ruel, Larice will be here. We know Marvin Cotton's coming on behalf of National Organization of Exonerees. Kenneth, if you can come, we'll put you in. I know you guys all have prior commitments. It is a very powerful day across the United States, internationally, actually.
Yeah.
Wrongful Conviction Day should be a holiday. Like I said, it's one of my favorite days.
I want to speak on something that Will said. Remember you were saying something about the whole immunity thing with the prosecutor, right? So once we got our police report, the first sheet of paper on the top was a letter from the prosecutor's office to East Cleveland saying, oh, we heard that you guys are about to release this police report. You ordered not to. If you release this police report, you will be prosecuted. You ordered to send everything pertaining to this case to our office. But you have an immunity, you got nothing to lose.
Right.
If you know you didn't do anything wrong, why would you send this letter to East Cleveland?
They know that. They be knowing, man. I got my file, the actual cop, the vice cop that had framed me, he had wrote a statement. We never saw this statement. Not during trial, not doing none of my appeals. He never saw this statement. In the statement, he pretty much saying he framed me. Like, I heard that the guy that was with Cordell name was Will, who the guy who actually was their name is Will. He say, I further found out that Will is L and L is real.
Oh my God, sounds just like our records. I swear to you, I swear to you, I swear to you.
Bro, talking about how he went over there on 105 and Inglewood and talked to them guys over there. And because at first they ain't had no witnesses, they ain't had nothing in this case. He's saying his report, how he went over there and was blowing down the witnesses and all that. And then the day he made this report, the same day and time, the witness that identified me as the shooter made his report.
Wow. Yeah.
It's black and white. Like, y'all down there at the same time. How's it? You ain't even, and on top of that, this cop ain't even a homicide detective at all. He a narcotics cop.
O'Malley?
No. Gene Jones.
Oh, okay.
He retired now, though.
Like I said, we ready to expose them. We ain't keeping quiet no more.
No,
Ken, is there anything else you would like to bring to the table? Anything else you'd like to speak about?
You know, it's crazy just listening to y'all, right? Because there's so many commonalities of the stuff that happens here in Michigan. Like the same exact stuff that y'all are going through, records, you know, trying to get records. I spent 10 years just trying to get my prosecutor file. I had to hire an outside attorney specifically to get my prosecutor's file. And, you know, my homicide file, getting it from DPD took me another 7 years. You know, it's crazy just to listen. Y'all in a whole nother state with a whole nother set of laws going through the same exact problems that we're going through. And the commonality is we were all wrongfully convicted. If there was nothing wrong with what you were doing, then why are you fighting so hard to keep it under wraps? You know, that just is mind blowing to think. You know, part of what got me exonerated was records. You know, I've been a big advocate for changing the records retention laws and the way that they do stuff here in Michigan. When I got my homicide file 3 days after I was arrested, there was a memo there and there was a line redacted. When I finally got a clean copy, 3 days after I was arrested, the homicide cop investigated my case is telling his supervisor, it's obvious our star witness is being coached by family members. That's 3 days after I'm arrested. I hadn't even been processed into the county jail, and he's already identifying flaws in the case, and they still chose to push forward.
Wow.
There's a memo from the prosecutor a month before my trial starts. The memo literally starts off with, to be blunt, this case has serious problems. That's his opening line to this 3-page memo.
yeah, that's crazy.
You know, that's nuts. And they still chose to prosecute me knowing they had issues. You know, it was clear from very beginning, day one, that I was being framed for the case, and they still, and there were plenty other suspects. Not a single person was ever investigated once I was arrested. You know, just listening to you guys and, you know, hearing y'all stories about what's happening there is so similar to what's happening here. You know, we just recently had a cop speak out on you know, the snitch ring that they were running in the 90s within the homicide department. She came out and was like, they told us to do it. Our supervisors were telling us this was okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's nuts just to see how similar all this stuff is in different places, you know, and to hear the different stories. And again, the bottom line is we were all wrongfully convicted. So just imagine what's happening on the cases where the people actually committed the crimes. This is commonality. This is an official practice that's happening within these institutions. It's a culture of what's really going on behind closed doors.
I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate you guys, like, seriously bringing all those facts, whether inside out, guilty or not. Like, we have serious problems on the inside in these institutions, parole board, justice system, judges, all that. We have to make sure we're doing the right thing by voting. Go ahead.
Yeah, I tell guys all the time, like, even guys that's guilty, that's know I be like, man, still fight. They be like, why? And I be like, just the system's so thirsty. They can have you red-handed with the gun in your hand, and they'll still do some scandalous shit. Like, it's just in their nature to try to overdo it. And I'm like, them overdoing it will get you out of jail. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might be red-handed, dead wrong, but they gonna do something that they shouldn't do outside their guidelines to convict you, even though they had you red-handed, that'll get you out of jail. But you got to fight to find it.
Right. They say that there are people that are factually innocent of the crimes they're convicted of. And there's many of them. You know, that's one thing that Ricky Kidd speaks a lot on. It said 1 in 10 people are wrongfully incarcerated. Or, you know, that's a lot of people.
So you make the release rate so high because so many people take plea bargains.
Right.
Trying to finish
that's
it
another
off.
way to, yeah, because, you know, and you went to trial. You went to trial. Ken, did you go to trial?
Yes.
So for people that aren't understanding of it is plea deals. Can you guys just briefly explain, each one of you, why you didn't take the plea deal and why you took it to trial? I mean, it's obvious because you were innocent, but what type of plea deals were you guys offered?
I ain't get none.
You didn't get one?
Not one.
My plea deal was, if I testify against my friend Eugene, I walk. I go home today, walk right out the door, go home, be with my family. Just as simple as that.
And as a solid man, you just did it because you knew you guys were innocent. What about you, Ken?
I wasn't offered one.
You weren't offered one either?
No.
Okay, my husband was offered one for 10 years, a plea deal of 10 years. Obviously, he was innocent, took it to trial. You know, there was no evidence, no fingerprints, no DNA, no nothing. Took it to trial as a juvenile, not knowing what he was doing. The family wasn't allowed to participate or anything. and was hung at 36 years to life. His first chance at parole was 2037. Luckily, Senate Bill 256, which is just a slim chance, it doesn't really mean anything. Ohio had to do something for the juveniles, for the convicted youth. So they passed this band-aided bill. My husband now will go out for parole, but he'll be home before then. 2026, that will be his first chance at parole now. So we got 11 years sooner on this bill, and they can only flop him in increments of 5 years, whereas before, for anyone else in ODRC, they can flop them up to 10, which, believe in me, many people are receiving that flop still to this day, which is insane to me. 10 years. 10 years after being sentenced 10 to life or 15 to life, especially our old law inmates here. We have 4 different laws that are holding our guys and our women hostage. They're said to be the worst of the worst, and they're really not. They're these model inmate prisoners that these guys were talking about earlier. They're mentoring, they're coaching, they're hands-on with the youth. They're doing everything that they can to stay out the way, and the parole board is flopping them because they have absolute discretion. It's all over nature of crime, something that'll never go away. People do change. Just like these men who were wrongfully incarcerated, you would think that, they were Jewed by the system. They should be angry. They should be hostile. They should be, mad at the world. I know I'd probably be mad at the world, but I'm going to tell you right now, especially these two sitting in studio with me today, I've known them for quite some time now, and all of them are very humbling men. Like, they're out here giving back to society. They're out here boots on ground for the rest that are left behind. They're out here doing their diligence to bring awareness to wrongful convictions. And it's not even all about wrongful convictions. What's happening inside of our prisons nowadays is inhumane. These are people. These are our people. We have to stand up for them just as we stand up for, our people that are getting shot by the cops, our people that are getting shot by our peoples. It is time to get angry for wrongful convictions and excessive sentencing. And it's definitely time to start holding people accountable. These judges, these prosecutors. We recently met with Representative Jessica Miranda. She's very passionate, which I would like to get the exonerees on board. She wants to put together some legislation about holding prosecutors and judges accountable for wrongful convictions. So I plugged Chris Smith. He came online with me. We had a Zoom call with her. And that's what I want to do is, with Joe, it's showing that these guys have been out for 10, 15 years. They're giving back to society. They're not the worst of the worst people. They're not all criminals for life. They're not all coming back. Like, if you provide the resources and the programming that it takes to get somebody to be suitable for society, they'll go a long way. But when you're setting them back up to bring them back in, there's no hope, right? And then with you guys, like putting you guys on the front line, you guys have spent decades in prison, experienced it just as if you guys were guilty. You guys weren't privileged in there. You guys went through the same exact thing. You endured all that. So to be able to put you guys in front of these legislators, and it's going to bring out more compassion. And I know that that's kind of what it did with Miranda, because I went full blown on her on IG. She posted a picture about Lebanon and the license plates. They make the license plates in Lebanon. And I was just angry about it because we as taxpayers pay hundreds of dollars to keep our license plates good every year, right? And I told her, like, have you ever thought about how much those people are getting paid to make those and how much it's costing us?
I never knew that they made license plates in Lebanon, but Lebanon, and I never been to Lebanon, all the prisons I've been to, but they said that's one of the nastiest prisons in Ohio, like rats, roaches.
Yeah,
like,
on your cell with you.
They said it's terrible out there. So
it's
how
been
is
like that forever.
they making license plates and they making all this money off of license plates in that place?
And you can't even keep. And then that's we're getting a lot of reports in these prisons right now. A lot of stuff going on in all of them, and it's because nobody cares. They're screaming understaffed. No, we're overpopulated. Do something about it. They're moving people from Lebanon to other prisons. They're moving people because they're so understaffed. They're now overcrowding people.
Yes. I heard about that. Yeah. But real quick before we leave, I just wanted to I really wanted to tap into I was thinking about something like, damn, they took my life in 30 days. My trial was 3 weeks. Like, it took them 3 weeks. They took my life. But the process to get it back took 15 years. Like, it took him 20. The process is crazy. Like, because I feel like you got an innocence claim. Like we file an appeal, you can't file an innocence claim that you know you got strong points, the points towards your innocence.
Right.
So everybody's saying file an innocent claims. So people that file innocent claims, like it don't make no sense for the process to take as long as it would for somebody who don't got an innocence claim. Why my appeal process? Why I gotta wait 6 months or a year for you to respond to my appeal? Like it should be a rush process. Like this person just may not have committed this crime, so let's rush this process faster because we don't want no innocent person just sitting right inside of a cell. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if something would have happened to that man? What happened to me while we was in there?
They're responsible.
You know what I'm saying? Like, then y'all found out after we dead that, oh, he was innocent. Like,
That's what happened with Carlos Wrigley. You know, he passed away during COVID. Ohio Innocence Project client who passed away. He was waiting on DNA. It's super sad. His family has been attached with Epic ever since that happened. We had to bring some justice to his name. Ohio Innocence Project, you know, they put a little article out for him, but we got him nationally and internationally covered on that because they weren't trying to report it. Every prisoner that passed away during COVID, the only ones they were writing articles about are the ones that, you know, did these gruesome crimes and like they deserved it.
Not the ones that could have been innocent.
Not the ones that were getting out in months, not the ones that were only in there for a year. You didn't hear about those stories. There was 135 people who lost their lives in DRC during COVID, and that's only what they've reported. Only what they've reported. And now we're on round 2.
It's a whole new strand.
Now we're on round 2.
And it's like last year I had COVID and pneumonia at the same time, like around July.
Yeah.
But he'd tell you, it's like all I kept thinking about when I was laying in my bed sick was like, I can't imagine being in jail with this shit. Like, I can't imagine being where you can't call somebody to come help you or, you know what I'm saying, bring you soup or bring you. You can't call me like I need, you know what I'm saying, bro brought me all type of medicine when I had COVID. It's like, you can't have that in prison. So it's like these guys is really in there like
dropping like flies.
Dropping like they can't get the proper care they need because when you got COVID, you need some care, like
intensive care.
Yeah, you can't get that. Like,
no, it was very sad. I mean, it's
heavy.
This last year has been extremely sad dealing with, you know, and that's kind of how Epic blew up was because we were constantly like hands on. You know, we do what we can. We can't promise everything. We can't promise to break gates. We fight for them all as a whole. And like I said, we're not going anywhere. Epic will continue to keep fighting. We were talking earlier about the canvassing and the phone banking. I just linked up with Surge, standing up for racial justice. They're doing canvassing and stuff on that issue 24 with holding police accountable. I'm still researching a little bit more into that because I've been so wrapped up in, you know, the conditions inside these prisons right now and people just, you know, sitting to suffer. It's sad. It's very sad.
I just spoke at OIP a few weeks ago. Pierce.
Okay.
Pierce?
I met him at the jazz concert.
Okay, so Pierce, they trying to get a bill passed to where interrogations and different things like that, it got to be recorded.
It should be just like a parole board. A parole board hearing should be.
That's what I wanted the whole time I was in prison. Like I wanted that what they passing right now because I feel like how it should be when they interrogate somebody, it should be video recorded. Mm-hmm. Anything outside that tape, we don't want to hear about it in trial.
Right.
We don't want to hear about nothing outside that tape.
Your job right. Why you want to be
I got some
recorded?
information I'd like to pass along. I don't know if you guys know, but recently I found out that there is a Ohio revised code where there is a day and a holiday where they're not allowed to arrest you. So this is the ORC 2331.12, where they are not allowed to arrest you on Sundays or on the 4th of July.
Are you serious?
Yes, that is. I spreaded that on Facebook. I was like, did you know? Yes, here in Ohio, that is. Thanks, Marie, for dropping that, girl. I know. I came in studio one day. She told me about that. I said, wait, what? Hold on. I'm about to spread it. So,
hold on. So you say it again, though?
Yeah, it's Ohio Revised Code 2331.12. They are not allowed to arrest you on Sundays or the 4th of July. And there's some other stuff.
There's some other things, like if you're in State House and you're
that's right.
listening in on hearings, they're not allowed to arrest you then
they've
either.
done that too.
Yes.
They can't arrest you on Sundays and the 4th of July.
Yes.
And that law has been in effect since October 1st, 1953.
So if somebody in jail right now, they got arrested on a Sunday or the 4th of July, they got a case.
Yep. Appeal.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
See,
heavy.
I'm telling you, they try to keep us blinded, y'all. We got to really pay attention to
July
our
Sunday,
laws.
y'all.
I mean, in every state's different. Jaywalking here's a law. You walk across the street without no crosswalk, you can go to jail.
Yep.
But yeah, she told me about that a couple months ago, and it blew my mind. It really did. Just like the IRS taxes was just something that was supposed to be temporary during the Civil War, and then they were supposed to repeal it. And then years later, another president or whoever came in, and that's how we've been having to pay taxes.
Mhm.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you know? Right. Blew their mind, Marie. Thank you, dear. Our great
No, it's a lot.
engineer.
It's a lot of people don't be knowing, man.
All right, we're at 5:46. We have someone else coming in studio soon, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up and shout out one more time. Wrongful Conviction Day, October 2nd, y'all.
But look,
I think we'll have a bigger crowd this year than we did
Oh
last year.
yeah, I'm excited this year. I'm anxious. I'm like, oh my god, I'm a week and a half away. Really, it's here. I'm excited. So October 2nd, Cuyahoga County Justice Center, Lakeside side. There's parking right across the street. That's the city hall, right? Or the courthouse. City hall?
where?
Directly across the street from,
City
okay, so
Oh,
City
yeah.
Hall, right across the street from the Justice Center. Parking's $10. It's right across the street. That's why I just tell everybody go. Plenty of parking for everybody.
It's
Bring
gonna be
your
a Saturday,
signs.
though. It's gonna be-
It is Saturday.
It's gonna be plenty of parking because they know
Yeah.
weekday.
Bring your signs, bring your boards. If you have someone that's wrongfully incarcerated or overly sentenced, please come out and join us in solidarity. We have a phenomenal speaker list from exonerees, from people that are still fighting in wrongful convictions. Kim Carell, a famous attorney here, Ruel's friend and my friend. She's supposed to be speaking as well. Like I said, we have 4 new families coming to the table. We just want to raise some noise, raise some awareness, and educate those people. We want to bring the crowd downtown, Wrongful Conviction Day. Shout out to Marie, No Static Radio, for bringing us in, kicking it with the Kenneys. Shout out to the National Organization of Exonerees. Hey, Marvin. Hey, Larry. And hello to the rest of y'all. Brandy, too. Ken, thanks so much for joining us. Ruel, Larice, as always, it's always a pleasure. I just absolutely love your guys' support. I know anytime I need anything, they know I'm a bugaboo.
Shout out to you, bro.
So same you. Can I get real quick before we go? October 14th in Lansing, Michigan, we having a big rally at the Capitol out there. It's against mass incarceration. We've already got 83 other groups signed on. We'll be there, of course. You know, there's going to be a lot of people. Our keynote speaker is a prosecutor from here in Ingham County. It's going to be a big crowd. Beyond that, the first week of October, we'll be down in Missouri. Kevin Strickland's got an evidentiary hearing to be able to prove his innocence. We'll be right there in court the 6th and the 7th of October. So if anybody's available, show up. You know, we need all the support we can get. We need to fill that courtroom up. He's been fighting for 43 years.
What time's the October 14th?
I think it's 1:00 in the afternoon.
I'll get it back to you guys, and we'll make sure we get it put up on our platforms for everybody as well. Just give me that information, please,
Okay.
Ken.
All right.
But yeah, starting today, this is the start of a real national organization of exonerees, and we're gonna go pretty national. I wanna try to help you guys get all over the place. These guys here in Ohio, they're bonded. They're a big old wolf pack. They go down for each other. They're out there with each other. They're blessing each other. They're taking care of each other. It's very humbling to see. And then next week we have a few more exonerees coming in studio as well with their testimonies and stories. If you guys want to come back by any means, please come back. I know next week Charles Jackson and Anthony Lemons, potentially Anthony. Mike Sutton was supposed to be coming in today. Mike Sutton, whatever happened, we hope you are well and nothing happened. You're always welcome to come back next week.
The rain.
Yeah, I know the traffic was crazy. To everyone, thank you for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. If you can't show up in solidarity, please share this live to educate your peoples and share the flyer for Wrongful Conviction Day. It's the easiest thing you can do to be supportive. Any last words, guys?
No, just, man, everybody just keep the fight going, man. And these rallies, don't think that you have to have somebody in prison or know somebody in prison. You can just care.
Your support show up.
The numbers really matter, so you can just care. Like, you can just be tired of hearing the stories of guys getting wrongfully convicted and come out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to know nobody in prison at all. Like, you can just care and want to just be an extra number. That one, you might be the one person take us over the top. You know what I'm saying? So just come out and get some awareness.
Amen.
Yeah, not only that, like it's a lot of people that think that, once we come out of them situations, like they think we got all the answers, they think we got all the avenues, and we can just pull these strings. Like I fought for 20 years, he fought for 15 years. Like some people fight shorter than that, some people fight longer than that. But the moral of the story is just don't give up. Just
Don't
keep
give
fighting.
up.
Yeah.
Can't stop, won't stop. Ken, any last words?
I definitely echo what they're saying. Never give up. You just you can't fold under pressure. I know the pressure is big, it's heavy. You can't fold under pressure. They want you to give up. They want you to stop fighting. They want you to throw in the towel. But the reality is you're your best fighter. Nobody knows it like you do. Just don't give up. Don't quit.
Amen. All right, y'all. Till next Wednesday. Kicking it with the Kenneys every Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Man, what? Everything your knees feel that cracking out.